Hello. Good evening. I am Dr. Noor Gill. We're going to start with the live session, and I'm very sorry for the delay. We had a few technical issues. So, we're going to wait for a few more people to join in, and then we will begin with the session. I hope my volume is okay. Okay, so we're gonna start now, and I'll start with a very brief introduction about myself. Without further ado, let's continue. Good evening and welcome. I am Dr. Noor Gill. I'm a doctor by qualification and a writer by whatever bare minimum creative skills I have, and I have been working with Seniors Today for a while now, which is this exclusive e-magazine which takes care and tends to the needs of senior citizens, answering their questions and also keeping them entertained all the same. But today we will be discussing and answering to some of your frequently asked questions about this ongoing global pandemic, which we have so fondly named the COVID-19. So feel free to drop in your questions, and I will love to answer them, and I will try to keep them simple and understandable. I'll try to simplify them and put them across to the best of my abilities. And while we wait for a few more people to join in and for the questions to pour in, I will start by addressing the elephant in the room, which ironically is this 120 nanometer ka virus, which has very carelessly stepped upon the this ant, which happens to be our lives and our perspectives and our ideology about a normal routine, while also posing a very real threat to our lives and our healths. So what is COVID-19? COVID-19 is the acronym for this disease, which is the coronavirus disease of the year 2019, is what COVID-19 stands for. Another acronym that you must have come across in the newspaper or through whatever source of information is it that you look up at is SARS-CoV-2. SARS-CoV-2 is the virus which causes the disease, which is COVID-19. Now, SARS-CoV-2 stands for Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome of the Coronavirus 2. 2 because we've already had one in the year of 2003, and that was the SARS pandemic was when it happened. Now, how is coronavirus transmitted? Their chief mode of transmission is through droplets, which are generated by when an infected person, he coughs or sneezes, it is present in his nasal discharge or his saliva, and you come in contact with that person, and that is how you get infected, which basically means that you do not have to come in direct contact with a diseased person for you to fall sick or for you to contact the virus. You could just be in their near vicinity for you to catch or for you to be at a risk of contracting the virus. Now, the virus presents with a lot of symptoms. The symptoms, but they are also very vague. They are as vague as they get, because any pathogen that is affecting that is attacking the respiratory tract can only present with so many symptoms. So we're going to start with the nose. So you can have a stuffy nose, and you can have a runny nose, you can have a stuffy nose. Going down to your throat, you can have a scratchy throat or a sore throat. Coming down to the lungs, you can have difficulty in breathing, which can be, which is not necessarily aggravated or due to, you know, some exercise that you've done or an exertional activity. And then there are other generalized symptoms, because every time, or you know, whenever you fall sick, the first thing that happens is your body raises its temperature, so you have a fever. And the fever in cases of COVID-19, it is gradual in onset, it is progressive in nature, and it is continuous, and it is not relieved on taking medications. The cough is characteristically dry cough because it is a viral infection. We usually see a productive cough or a cough with phlegm or sputum in cases of bacterial infection. Since this is a viral disease, the cough is usually dry. Some patients also have complaints of generalized body aches or fatigue. Some also complaint of diarrhea. See, it's a very broad list, and it is not all inclusive, because different people present with different symptoms and with different chief complaints, because different bodies and different immune systems react differently. So the best thing that you can do right now is stay at home and stay safe. But in case, you know, you do present with symptoms as mild as they might be, what do you do? Or, you know, how and when do you know that you need to get yourself tested? See, most of the patients or most of the people have very mild symptoms or illnesses, and they are able to recover at home without any medical assistance or interference. They do not need to, you know, get help from a medical assistant. So, but you know, that is good and bad. It is good because, you know, you did not have a severe form of the disease. It is bad because you unknowingly might have come in contact with a lot of other people who probably did not have a strong immune system as you do, and they presented with worse symptoms, or they had it worse than you did. So what you can do whenever you present with any symptom, as mild as it might seem, as you know, you might want to brush it away as a cold or a flu, do not do that. If you think that you are sick, if you are catching a cold, isolate yourself, quarantine yourself, and inform everyone you have come in contact with. Let them know that you have these symptoms, and that you are, you know, you've come down with something, so that they can go and get themselves tested, and so that they can look out for symptoms themselves. But if, you know, your flu does not get better, or these allergy season is not like how it has been before, make sure that you go to the hospital and get yourself tested. And you know, when you go get yourself tested, what exactly are these tests? Okay, so these tests, they include, I mean, now we have rapidly available testing kits for the coronavirus at some hospitals, but most of them, you know, there are an array of tests that you can perform. So I'm going to give you like a tiny little list, which, you know, it's sort of to prepare you for the worst if it does come down to that. One is a swab sample. So they will take a cotton swab, and they will take a sample from the insides of your throat and your nose. Second is a sputum sample. So sputum is the mucus that you cough out, and cough with mucus in it is what we call a productive cough. And this mucus is coughed up from your lower airways, and a sample of this is taken, and it is sent for microbiological and cytological testing. Next is they can take a blood sample. Now when they take a blood sample, they can either you know, put it through a blanket test where they test it for all variants of coronavirus, or they can do a very specific test for that one particular sequence to locate the marker of COVID-19. And next is nasal aspiration, or you know, it sounds scary, but it is a non-invasive, non-scary procedure. All they do is they inject a little bit of normal saline, and they take the sample. Next is tracheal aspiration, which can be a slightly uncomfortable and invasive procedure. They take it's a torch with a bulb, and a cable, and they introduce it into your lungs through your nose, so it can be a little uncomfortable. But it completely depends on the situation of the patient, on the symptoms that you present with, the severity of the disease, and what your physician thinks is the best mode of treatment, and to the plan of action for you. Okay. Okay, so Seniors today is asking, but some of these symptoms seem to be the same as that of common cold, the sardi khansi that one has. Correct. But you can differentiate them from sardi khansi because, so I've told you the symptoms for COVID-19 is dry cough, fever, and difficulty in breathing. These are the three main symptoms that we look out for. In case of sardi khansi or cold, you have a runny and stuffy nose, you have a scratchy throat, you might or might not have a fever, you might or might not have a cough. Also, your cough is mostly productive, or it starts from a dry cough and then it becomes productive during the course of that your sardi khansi ka normal dose jitna you have. Also, your sardi khansi, it stays on for 3 days, 4 days, 5 at the max. The symptoms for corona do not subside that easily. They stay on for longer. They, the symptoms present after 14 days of you having contacted the virus, and they stay on for longer. They worsen and their severity increases. Okay, so Pradyuman Maheshwari asks, but if I go to a hospital, is there a possibility of contracting the virus even if one doesn't have it? The possibility of you contracting a virus while you are going grocery shopping is just as high as you contracting the virus when you go to the hospital. The risk is everywhere, but hospitals are relative. I understand the concern because we are dealing with patients who come to us with viruses, but also remember that we are the ones who are sterilizing, and we have sterilium everywhere, and we are using our PPEs, and we are trying to keep it as safe for ourselves and for you. Suhas Divakar, how accurate rapid testing kits are in terms of results? Many countries have stopped using them as they claimed it was faulty. Okay, so rapid testing kits have just come in India. Before that, they were launched, I think in Punjab, they came in last week or last to last week. But before that, we had been doing swab samples and sputum samples. See, with any testing, there is a 50% chance of you coming out positive or negative. There is a very high chance of the patient presenting with a false positive or a false negative. Now, what false negative is that you have the disease, or you are in contact with the virus, you are down with COVID-19, but it does not show up on the test, because for the rapid testing kits to pick up and to show a positive result, there has to be a 16-fold rise in the viral load, a 16-time rise in the result for the patient to for the microbiologist or the pathologist to conclude a positive test. If that doesn't happen, if the viral load has not risen by 16 times, the test is either inconclusive or negative, or which we call a false positive, a false negative. And when you do that, which sort of means that whenever the test was done, you had the symptoms, but you were in the early stage, it was in the early stages of the disease, which is why the testing kit could not pick it up. So a negative test does not mean that does not rule out the chance or the risk of you being in touch with the disease. Konika Jogni is asking, if senior citizen is tested positive, will they be cured? The treatment for COVID-19 right now is only palliative care, and we are trying to give them the best of that we can. Palliative care is treating the symptoms that they present with, treating the the signs that they're presenting with, instead of treating the virus, because we do not know the exact cure. We cannot attack the virus right now. So we are trying to, our mode of action or our plan of action depends on what symptoms the patient presents presents with. And yes, if a senior citizen presents with is tested positive, they can be cured, because we are trying to strengthen their immune system. We are trying to make sure that we're trying to get them back to their normal. Digambar Sethi is asking, what's the incubation period, and is it true that heat affects the virus? Okay, so the incubation period for the coronavirus is 14 days. Firstly, I'll tell you what incubation period is. Incubation period is the time period between you coming in contact with the virus and you starting to show symptoms for the same, which for the coronavirus varies from 10 to 14 days, which is also why when we had the first lockdown, it was for 15 days to make sure that everyone stays inside for at least 14 days and they're in quarantine. So if they present with symptoms, they are they're in their homes and they do not go around affecting people. Because even when you have not started presenting with those symptoms, within those 14 days, you can still pass the virus on. Is it true that heat affects the virus? So yes, heat does affect virus, but in cases of corona, it's a very plus minus theory, because some of I was reading I read something and they said that it does not affect it, because that way tropical places should not have the coronavirus, but they still do. And there are other places which say that it is true. So it is not 100% true or false sort of a thing, but India it is relatively less because of the humidity and the temperature rise is one of the theories that people have put forward, but we cannot say that for sure right now. Okay, Vinitha Masukar, I'm sorry, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. How do we assure the safety of elders and kids from the coronavirus? What extra precautions should we take? Okay, so wash your hands and don't touch your hands, don't touch your face and eyes and nose and mouth is what people have been screaming at us since day one. See, our hands, they help us navigate objects and places and surfaces and people. And these surfaces, as clean as they might seem superficially, they are a host to a plethora of microorganisms, viruses included, because we cannot see them with our naked eyes. So when you, and also viruses, they are, when they're present on a non-living thing or an inanimate object, they are inactive, as good as dead. But as soon as they enter a living body, they start multiplying, and they use the host body as their machinery to multiply and replicate and increase in number. And that is how you contact the disease, when the virus increases in number and starts taking over and hitting at your immune system. This is why you should keep washing your hands every time you go outside or come back from outside, eat, before eating, after eating, wash them for 20 seconds, because when you do that, you are breaking the chain, you are stopping the spread, and you are containing the disease and not passing it on. Also, you can eat better. So a few vitamin C is good for immunity. All citrus fruits, berries have antioxidant properties, they are good for your health. And even also, please don't worry and don't panic, because that is hysteria, and panic is what is going around all of us, and that ironically is not good for your immune system. Also, one thing that I wanted to address is, because everyone's saying don't touch your eyes. Now, eyes have nothing to do with the respiratory system, but actually they do. Because what you probably don't know is that there is a duct which connects your eyes to your nose, which is called the nasolacrimal duct. When you, you must have noticed that when you're crying, you tend to have a runny nose, which is because your nasolacrimal duct, it drains the excess tears from your eyes to your nose. And when you touch your eyes with it, when you touch a surface which is contaminated and then you rub your eyes with it, you are giving a free entryway to the virus into your system through your nose. I hope that helps. Sushmita Bhatrai is asking how vulnerable are senior citizens with no health conditions. Um, senior citizens are at a relatively higher risk, and when I say senior citizens, I mean people who are over 65 years of age. This is because, as fit as they might be, they are at a higher risk because their immune systems have started to weaken. This is the process of senility has set in, and they have started to, their systems have started to give away. Not give away in a sense that they have completely given up, it's just that their immunity isn't as high as the young adult is, as high as that of a young adult. So they are vulnerable, but or they are at a higher risk than the other population. Sandeep Nikale is asking, good evening, Dr. Noor. My mother is 89. She has a BP and diabetes. Apart from the normal things to do like washing hands, sanitizing, drinking warm water, anything specific you would suggest? I would suggest activity. I would suggest exercising. I would suggest keeping yourself busy with a routine. And I would also suggest at night before you go to sleep, drink a warm glass of water, because at night when you go to bed, you are sort of creating a very comfy, cozy environment for the microbes present in your oral cavity, which can gain access to your airways. So drink warm water, exercise better, and there are other things also that you can do. You can have all this turmeric, garlic, all these dadi ke nuskhes. They are actually good for your immune system. Have copious amounts of water, drink, consume green leafy vegetables, exercise, avoid drinking and smoking, get enough sleep, and minimize those stress levels, and also keep washing your hands. Dev Kumar Andrew is asking how once the lockdown is over, what are the precautions that we can take? Okay, so once all of this is over, and we're all hoping that it is soon, it will take us some time to come back to normal, because none of us know what normal will be and what we will be going back to. But maybe it was for the better, because now we know what we should and should not be doing. This was our time out for not behaving properly and for not treating our planet right. So once we do get on with our lives, let's firstly not take our house help for granted. If they ask for a raise, give it to them, because jhadu pocha, as easy as it looks, is they do when all of this goes back to normal, and when your house help does come back, ask them if they have had any symptoms, because they will be you don't know where they have been, like anyone else. You don't know where they have been, and so you need to ask them if they have had any symptoms in the past 2 weeks. Do not interrogate them, do not be rude or mean to them, because they will be bringing whatever they came in contact with into your house. So be polite and ask them if they have had any trouble or any symptoms in the last 2 weeks. Make sure that they are negative, make sure that they are perfectly fit, and even after that, before and after cleaning, make sure that both you and them, you keep washing your hands before cooking and after cooking, before eating, after eating, and tidying up. Also, I would say that avoid public transport, but I know that is not reasonable or even feasible. So whenever you're traveling, travel with a protective gear. Think of this as your armor, or as your armor for this battle against this infection. Wear gloves, wear a mask, keep your hands and face and eyes covered, and make sure that these are all disposable. Do not reuse them. But if you want to be environment friendly, and if you're conservative like that, use a washable cloth for your mask. And once you come back, make sure that you put it aside and wash it in detergent and hot water, and then put it out in the sun for at least 2 to 3 hours. Also, when since once all of this starts going back to normal and we start going out again, make sure you will be bringing a lot of germs with you, now that we're very aware of what we will be bringing back home. So when you start going going out and going for work or whatever it is, doing your grocery runs, when you're coming back, maybe call someone at home, ask them to keep the doors open for you and a bucket of warm water and detergent ready for you in the bathroom. And as you come, do not touch any surfaces, any doorknobs, any door handles. Just straight away enter the bathroom, strip and put your clothes in that bucket of water, wash those clothes, and then take a shower, and only then get on or go on and meet your friends or family members. Because, and I know all of this is a lot of work and it is tedious and it's borderline crazy, but survival is borderline crazy and it is a lot of work and it is hard. Okay, Suhas Divakar is asking, what do you think about the current situation of pandemic in India? Are we capable to handle the worst? So there are a lot of fallbacks that we have. We do not have enough PPE, which is personal protective gear for doctors. We are not testing as much as we should. We are just clapping and hoping that the virus leaves the country, but that is not how it is going to be. We're not treating our doctors right, that is for sure. So I can't really comment on whether we will be able to handle if it does come down to the worst, because we will see that when we cross that bridge when we reach there. Hello. Hi, I am so sorry for the introduction. Okay, so moving on to the next question. Ashu Pawar is asking, hello ma'am, is wearing the mask compulsory? Is there any alternate thing, since it becomes difficult to breathe in if we wear masks continuously? Okay, so the thing with masks is it's better to wear a mask if if you are diseased. It makes more sense. You know how they say one bad fish in the pond ruins the whole pond. If that one fish wears the mask, it is it's better for the whole pond, because then the other fishes don't go bad as well. But that is not how India works, and that is not how it's not realistic. So you should wear a mask at all times. Especially if you are sick, please be wearing a mask, because you will not just be taking safety measures for yourself, you will be doing it for those around you as well. And if you are going out and you still need to wear a mask, because you will find that one person who is careless enough to not wear the mask, and you do not want to go down with a virus after taking so many precautions just because because of someone else's mistake. Any chance if pets get infected from coronavirus as they pass it to humans? No. Pets, as until now, dogs and cats have there are no cases which have been noted up until now that of a dog contracting coronavirus. Konika Jogani is asking, is it okay if we don't maintain social distance at home? Yes, it is completely fine if you do not maintain the required 2 meters of distance at home. But if any one of you, if even one person at home presents with any symptoms, like as I said, cough, fever, or difficulty in breathing, please make sure that you quarantine that member of your family. But otherwise, you do not need to practice social distancing unless one of you has been out of the city or has had a travel history. In that case, please quarantine them for 14 days. How long does it Sushmita Bhatrai is asking, how long does it take to build a strong immune system? We are built with an immune system. It is only about strengthening it, and strengthening it also is very personalized and individualistic. Some of us do not need to, we get better even when we fall sick without taking any medications. Others are, we're sissies and we need medicines, but it is again very personal. So you can build or you can strengthen your immune system by eating better, by drinking better, by making better lifestyle choices, and by exercising. Okay, so the Digambar Sethi is asking, what about the new vaccine that Serum Institute has around with? How reliable is it? By when will it be? Okay, so there are a lot of drug trials that are going on right now, and so there are also new theories about plasma therapy and all of that coming up, but most of them have not been successful. And some of the drug therapies that have gone in trial, one was, I think, one started today morning, which was in the Oxford Medical Center. They have just started another trial for another injection, which we hope will work. Others have not been as successful, and it will take some time to sort of start distributing it, because there are a lot of steps that come between trial testing and for it to reach a larger population. Archana Athwale is asking, hello ma'am, we travel by public transport for office. I wanted to know how long the virus stays on clothes and in hair. Okay, so the virus can live up to 2 to 3 days depending on what surface it is on. Like I said, it is inactive on inanimate objects and starts multiplying or replicating once inside a living body. So the virus can stay on your clothes and hair for anywhere between 12 hours to 3 days. So every time you go out, you should come back, wash your clothes, and take a good shower. Sandeep Nikale is asking, Dr. Noor, this is Sandeep, how close are we to get a vaccine for COVID-19? We are trying our best, and like I said, there is a lot of research that is going on, but to no avail until now. And there are a few therapies which have come up and we're trying them. India has also started seeing if the drugs for leprosy can be of any help in cases of COVID patients. And while we're on this topic of drugs and vaccines, I wanted to tell you, because there have been posts, and the president of USA, Mr. Donald Trump, he said that hydrochloroquine and azithromycin, they are FDA approved drugs for the treatment of COVID-19. And I need to remind you that he is not a GP. He does not know or understand the side effects of the drug. He does not know your history. He does not know what kind of medications you are on, and he does not understand the implications of prescribing a medication without having all the information. So please do not try to self-medicate, because there are very real side effects to all these medicines that you take. Please always speak to your general physician before you take on any medicine. Konika Jugani is asking, how often should I disinfect my home if I am staying alone? Once a day is enough. If you have no one coming in or out of your house, and you're the only one who stays there, you can do your cleaning and mopping and all of that once a day. And you can also every alternate day make sure to wash all and wipe all the metal surfaces, which can be your the frames of your photographs or the doorknobs or whatever it is. What are the chances of recovering from coronavirus and getting infected the second time? Sushmita Bhattrai asks. Okay, So the thing with the difference between viral and bacterial infections is that once you catch a bacterial infection, your immune system, it sort of memorizes that it has been infected by this pathogen earlier. So the next time that pathogen it attacks your body is better prepared. But that is not the case with viruses, because which is also because they do not attack the immune system, they attack the cells, which makes it harder for the immune system to remember that I have been attacked by this particular pathogen, or this antigen has been inside my body earlier. So the chances of getting infected the second time are not as high, but you cannot completely rule out the chances of getting infected the second time with the same virus. And the chances of recovery are high, because they depend on how early your case was diagnosed, how early you went to the hospital, how early they started the treatment, and how the whole thing went. Konika Jagani asks, can we get corona for the second time? I think I've just answered that. Sandeep Nikale asks, in spite of no medicine currently, how some of the positive patients have recovered and sent home? Because it is palliative care. We we cannot attack the virus directly right now, but we can decrease their number, and that is exactly what we're doing with the current coronavirus. Is when we're not giving antiviral medications, but we are giving them medicines to sort of shrink the virus or to kill their own cells. Vinita Masurkar is asking, how does drinking warm water help with corona? So viruses cannot bear high temperatures. So when you when you drink warm water, you are before going to bed, or whenever it is that you drink it, you are sort of giving heat to the insides of your body, which if your mouth at night, your mouth is closed, so it sort of becomes an incubator for the microorganisms and for the viruses to grow. Sushmita Bhatra is asking how to stay positive in the given situation. See, I understand that these are very scary and trying and testing times, but we cannot really do much right now apart from staying inside. So you should keep yourself entertained and busy, sort of try to set a routine and stick to it, as hard as it might sound. This feels like a vacation, a very forced vacation, but it isn't one. Don't treat it like one. Fix a routine, get up at time, go to bed on time, do your work sometime in between, and keep yourself entertained. Exercise, pick up a hobby that you can enjoy, and look for new creative things and outlets that you can do during this time. Ashu Pawar asks, what are the do's and don'ts during quarantine? Okay, so the do's include washing your face, not touching your hands, staying away from outsiders. Do not, when you go out for your grocery shopping, make sure that you do not come in close contact with anyone, even if you know them, or even if they're your neighbor. Do not take in anything that a neighbor sends. Ask them to keep it outside your door. Take it and then clean it properly. Clean every surface, and even when you get things from outside, you can clean the packets and everything, even though the insides are not contaminated, but the surfaces could be. Or you could just wash your hands once you've set your things in place. Pradyuman Maheshwari asks, what's your view on homeopathy and Ayurveda as a cure? So I do not believe in homeopathy and Ayurveda. I am a firm believer of allopathy, which is why I did what I did, pursued as my career. So I don't think there is any scope for homeopathy or Ayurveda when it comes to a cure. Rohit Agrawal, is it okay to reuse the mask, or should one go for use and throw? You can go for use and throw, but that generates, if you think that generates a lot of unnecessary waste, you can go for you can reuse the mask. But again, like I said, make sure that it is a washable cloth, and make sure that you keep washing it after every time you've been outside. Konika, thank you. No problem. Okay, so do we have any more questions? Okay. So, in conclusion, I think we'll end this. Okay, Sushmita Bhatrai, how effective is surgical mask for public transport? Okay, so public surgical masks are, see, I read this study where they sort of, told a difference on how effective all of these are. Surgical masks, they have an 80% chance of not letting the virus come, cross through the mask. But again, they do run a risk. So the best mask that you can use right now is this N95 mask, and they are the best. But for public transportation, surgical masks can work just as well. Okay, what is the kind of checkup one needs to administer to our household help when the lockdown is lifted? For just checking his or her temperature may not be enough. Okay, so Pradyuman Maheshwari has put up a very good question. So firstly, you can ask them straight away that if they have been feeling or feeling under the weather, or if they have had any symptoms. But again, everybody lies, and it is, after all, you're putting your life at risk. So you can check their temperature, you can see if they have had any fever, and if you are generous enough, make sure that you get them tested, and also ask if anyone around them have had, how many people live in their house, if any of them have had any symptoms. You're welcome, Archana. Okay, do we have any more questions? Okay, so we will, I'll now conclude this session, and let's, in conclusion, all I want to say is that these are very tough, tiring, testing and crazy times. So do not panic, because this will all be over soon, and I'm not going to be condescending and patronizing and tell you when this will be over. But it might take a year or 2 years, because it will take some time. And but we're all trying our best. Until then, stay safe and stay at home. Thank you. You're most welcome, all of you. Thank you so much.